How to use the camera, we can start to analyse some of the images that you can get. When dealing with your own evidence, you have to be your own harshest critic to be able to rule out the environmental and the mechanical that can cause artefacts before we can label something as anomalous. So let's first look at orbs, a contentious subject for everybody, yeah? Or light anomalies. There are many aspects that can cause orbs, from dust particles, moisture, pollen, lens flare, insects, the wrong camera settings, dirt, and light itself. But let's look at dust, everybody's favourite, shall we? As you can see, these appear in a variety of different ways and sizes, from large to small. The larger particles tend to be closer to the lens. If an object is closer to the lens, it appears bigger. If it's further away in your depth of field, it will appear smaller. You can also see there are many varieties of intensity, from your more opaque and translucent to your very solid and what many people think are self-illuminating, but this is where it's caught off your flash or IR. First you have to look at the environment you're in. I'm sorry, but everywhere has dust particles. I don't care how clean it is. Have you ever seen dust in the sunlight or in a beam of light? You see them all floating around. She's going to kill me for this is my friend. But as you can see behind her, we have a dust particle orb there, and incidentally it's got a bit of a space on it. But that links into pareidolia. This is the brain's wiring to recognise, to see faces, but more on that in a bit. Often I get the comment in videos and footage that I'm sent that they believe it's not dust by the erratic way it moves in the air, but you've got to take into account the different air currents that are in the room, especially if we're moving around and stuff like that, which will make dust particles change direction and behave erratically. Also, if you're investigating a location that's been renovated or there's a lot of dirt or debris about, you can expect a lot of these artefacts on your image. And that one was one of the offices at the New Palace Theatre, I believe, Kelly.
That's right.
Yeah. Now we're going to talk moisture particles. The atmosphere is filled with moisture molecules that cannot be seen with the naked eye, but these can be captured by a camera lens. Some moisture orbs are octagon or spherical, but not all, and there can be a variety of shape and colours as well. Moisture reflects light like a prism, causing a rainbow of colours. However, not all water molecules have colours in them, and here we have some images of Holy Trinity Church, where I've captured some moisture particles in the air. It was drizzling at the time. Incidentally, that's where the church was actually hit by lightning. I just think it's a bit of a coincidence there that we just got a big moisture particle right where it hit. And we've got some there at night. As you can see on that one there, you're getting the prism effect with the different colours in it. So obviously note if it's raining, if you have a temperature of humidity. If you haven't got a gauge that actually does this, or a hygrometer, a very, very simple test to do is to hold your camera up and take a flash and look through the beam that way. That way you can actually see any moisture particles or dust particles in the air, so you can tell if it's a high humidity, if you're getting a lot of the sparkles in the flash itself. Don't look directly at the flash because you'll be seeing orbs for the next 2 hours. Now, certain camera setups are more likely to capture such artefacts than others due to the flash's proximity to the lens. When the flash is close to the lens, as you can see here, the cone of light that it puts out interacts with the conical shape coverage of the lens. This overlapping area is where dust particles or airborne droplets or tiny insects will become visible as orbs. Here we can see another diagram of how this occurs. You can see here you've got your focal point, your depth of field, which is only a certain distance from the camera, the dust particle there in front, the lens flash, the reflect from the light unit, the camera lens, and it will actually appear as a out of focus orb. Here we have some excerpts from Sony Cybershot Handbook explaining this effect and also how to adjust your camera settings to be able to negate this. I've got one there. To negate this effect, it's best practice to mount an external flash where possible, or an external illuminator away from the lens, just to eliminate this beam from capturing these artifacts. As you can see here, we try to mount as away from the lens itself, so you are not getting this crossover, so you're not getting as much of the dust reflected off the IR beam. If you can't do that, maybe adjust your settings or just discount what you capture as dust or moisture. Insects, as you can see, bugs can take on many strange shapes and forms. They've caused more controversy on footage with the so-called phenomena of rods. With filming in low light or using IR, the camera can only see at 30 frames per second, and this can actually, in these conditions, can distort and elongate the appearance of insects as it moves through the air. I've got a short clip here of the New Palace Theatre, the security camera that they thought they caught a ghost. They asked us to actually see what we thought about this, and our debunk was featured in the Plymouth Herald. From my analysis of this, it is a moth, as you can see the individual wing beats through the actual anomaly itself. And the moth is actually being illuminated by the IR light, as well as being attracted to it. So you can see the individual wing beats there. Because believe it or not, they do get attracted to the IR lights as well as ordinary bright ones. There is a lot of controversy at the minute in which Rob has in his job with filming wildlife, is using the intensity of IR beams. So how much is that actually causing animals that can see in the dark to their eyes? We're using these strong high intensity IR lights when filming nature in the dark. Here we have a short clip from the History Channel, who actually did an experiment to debunk and explain this phenomenon.
Schmitz and the high-speed camera test may reveal the answer to this mystery. As a crew member shakes the bushes and lawn to get more bugs moving through the field of view, rods suddenly appear on the standard camera. They have been hiding in the foliage. This camera expert has caught a rod simultaneously on both the high-speed and standard speed camera. As a crew member stirs the surrounding foliage, rods appear, first as just a streak, but when moving closer to the camera and the light source, the image takes on a more rod-like form. The high-speed camera has been rolling as well, at 1,000 frames per second, compared to the 30 frames per second camera. The source is revealed, a moth. By having the split-second clock readout in both camera views, you could match the exact object in both cameras.
We did capture a few images that were very telling. Images that appeared to be rods, but when we looked at them more closely with the high-speed video, determined they were nothing more than a bug flying through our field of view.
In this series of digital still photos shot by Anders Jelevik in Malmö, Sweden, a rod swoops down to the water. As he increases the shutter speed during successive exposures, the rod clearly is seen as a seagull, but when he decreases the shutter speed, it becomes a rod again.
Pictures don't lie, or cameras don't lie, and that's not necessarily true. They do the best they can to tell the truth.
Mike Bergeron is an engineer with Panasonic Broadcasting, a company that manufactures cameras. But if rods are all known objects distorted by the camera, why are they not seen all the time?
A camera can be fooled just as your eyes can be fooled. Different things might fool the camera that wouldn't fool your eyes if you were there. And a camera, especially a modern digital camera, it makes assumptions about what it thinks pictures ought to do in a normal situation. Now, occasionally it guesses wrong, and it creates things that aren't there.
And what about the Mexican cave video, where birds, bugs, and rods are all seen in the same field of view at the same time?
The moving objects that are most likely to cause a double image artifact or a motion blur artifact are the objects that are moving the fastest from the camera's point of view. The things that will appear to be moving the fastest from the camera's perspective are things right in front of it. So they don't have to be going that fast to be going very fast as far as the imager is concerned. If they're moving fast enough, they can get a motion blur where they are in many places at once in the course of one exposure.
The reason rods are only found occasionally is because you need just the right mix of object speed, distance from the camera, shutter speed, and light.
Incorrect camera settings or motion of an artifact can also produce some strange anomalies. Orbs can also be a retro-reflection of light off an object, but light itself can cause an orb in a photograph, such as a light source like your lamppost or a reflection of a camera flash. It's also good practice to try and rule out another person's flashlight in the distance, reflecting off a wall or window or mirror or any kind of reflective surface.